Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tales and welcome back to Symbaroum. It's been a couple of weeks. We've been struck down by horribleness of various kinds, but we are back with you now with a full complement of players. So, yeah, Witchhammer. Time to get on with it. But before we do that, and before we start bringing people on, as per usual, it's Matt's promo time. If you check below the video, you will find a bunch of links to YouTube and links to Twitch. You're watching this on one of those sites, please do check out the other. Twitch is where we stream live, and YouTube is where all our video on demand is stored. So if you want to watch previous streams, they're all on there, and there are quite a lot of them now. There's also links to our Discord, to our Patreon, to our social media. If those are the kind of things that interest you, please follow those through. We currently run 2 campaigns weekly here on Telling Tales. We have Symbaroum on Wednesdays, that's this, and we have Vason on Mondays. If you're interested in some kind of spooky folk horror investigative Victorian nonsense, then please visit them on Mondays, where Johnny is running a very fun series. We also run one-shots once or twice a month at the moment, the latest of which was this Sunday just gone, and was an aquatic Call of Cthulhu adventure, which should still be hanging around on Twitch and will make its way to YouTube sometime soon. As for the March one-shot, I don't know the date of it. I don't know which system it is quite yet, but I do know that Pierre will probably be running it. So if Pierre is your favorite, maybe it's time to put that in the diary. And by that, I mean the entire month of March, apparently, because I can't narrow it down for you. But there we go. Okay, Witchhammer, let's get on with it. We're still doing the new slightly weirder way of recapping things, where we do a kind of big meta recap, and then I'll run through what happened last session while introducing the rest of the crew. And today, our big meta recap victim is Sam. Sam plays Askarai, changeling scout and ranger and bowman and main DPS machine, apparently. Yeah, Sam, I know it'll only take you a couple of seconds, but what's happened in the campaign so far?
We had ended up in Karvosti after doing a couple of errands for the Ordo Magica on the way up. While there, we got in a little bit of a scuffle with some kind of false flag attack on the plateau, but what launched us down our current path was we had a rumor about a person called Almendra who had discovered the location of the famed city of Symbar. That's what Symbaroum is about, kind of. And she was in some kind of trouble, had gone to the Sun Temple on the plateau and not really received the help she needed. And one of her friends on the plateau was upset and basically asked us to help. And for a variety of reasons, we basically agreed. We tracked down a few of her acquaintances from the plateau, and one of them, who was sort of outside the town, but on the path up to Karvosti, with Brother Bartho, gave us some indication of places she might be headed, places she talked about, and kind of the vague reasons she might have been there. One was an island in Lake Volgoma. One was a very dangerous sounding ruin, sort of towards the Sun Temple kind of area along the river. And the other one was for information from a girl called Alida, who we believe has gone to a village far to the east of Karvosti, again down the river. We decided to go for probably the safest option, or at least what sounds like the safest option. Whether that turns out to be the case, we're yet to find out. But we wanted to go and talk to a leader. And so we made this choice was confirmed when we, on our way, met a group of black cloaks who were going to this very dangerous sounding ruin. We didn't want to go to the same place as them, so we decided to definitely head to this village and called New Earthmore. We made our way down the river. I want to say relatively unscathed, but we actually got quite beat up at one point, but didn't die. So we'll
after that, it was fine.
Apart from nearly dying, everything went very smoothly. and we eventually made our way to New Earthmore. At that point, we landed our canoes that we'd taken down the river. We had a bit of a scout around. It appeared to be under siege by a barbarian kind of war band. We met up with, we went out with two people. One is another party who seemed to be looking for the same thing as us, looking to talk to a leader. We also met with the people briefly inside New Earthmore, outside the gates of New Earthmore, and they told us, you can come inside if you deal with this warband for us at dawn. And then we were met at night and said, if you kill the leader of that warband, that'll probably be good enough. And so we embarked on a quest to just kill the leader of that warband. Is what we're currently doing.
Allied with the fellow fortune hunters led by a man called Degesto, you decided to make a middle of the night attack against this barbarian warlord who's called Funderba. And let's start introing the other players. First up, we have Chris and his little friend there, who Chris plays Steo, former infantryman turned city guards turned adventurer. The lovable curmudgeon of the group. Chris, that fight that we were in last session was a bit dramatic, and I think probably the highlight of it for Steo was when he managed to take down a rampaging troll all by himself.
Yeah, finally getting the points value out of that polearm mastery. And I didn't even think I was doing much damage to it. I just thought I'm just keeping it out of the fray until everyone else kind of deals with the ads and gets to work on the actual boss, to use some MMO terminology.
Yeah, but no, it went well. You had initially kind of assaulted the camp with a number of alchemical grenades that Degesto had passed out. So it was a mass of kind of flaming clansfolk, raging troll, and Funderba himself, who was definitely no joke. But dealing with some of those flaming clansfolk was Arindar, played by John. Arindar is a sort of noble orphan trying to recover the glory of his house, and accompanied by a large cat, as you can see. John, Aaron sort of did okay in the fight, I think, pretty much.
I think Aaron's main contribution was standing in the way while a couple of his attackers accidentally attacked each other, which seemed to be the most efficient way of damaging them, as far as Aaron was concerned.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, sort of running into the fray and poking things a bit, as I think mostly a distraction. I can't remember if I actually did anything too significant.
Yeah, pretty much. But fortunately, considering everyone was having the crap kicked out of them, you had two people had a little bit of protection from Father Anton, as played by Mike, our resident Theurg and holy man, who actually managed to get off a mystical power for once, with Blessed Shield kind of lasting the whole way through the fight.
It did, and it protected me a little bit, although it did take a bit of a pasting, and it protected Stephen's character as well, Elindra. So, yeah.
Not too bad. And speaking of Elindra, let's bring on Stephen. As you might guess, Stephen plays Elindra, who is a former Templar novice turned sort of hacker of people up with a big sword for money.
It's a living.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And I think it's safe to say, Stephen, that Elindra was seeing her life flash before her eyes a couple of times in this fight as she took on the warlord Funderba, who was no joke.
Yeah. I mean, I think the plan, as Elindra understood it, was that everyone was going to make a beeline to Funderba, and in the event, it was kind of just her for a couple of rounds, and then Revelia, who is like a Templar squire that's kind of tagged along with the party, helped out, and I think that was just enough to turn the tide and get some good hits in.
And I think Arindar also made it in near the end. And then, of course, you were, as far as I can recall, you were inevitably kill sniped by Askarai right at the very end with an arrow. So
how dare you describe it as a kill snipe?
How dare you? He wanted to get that extra XP for the final kill. But obviously you were victorious. Without the leadership of Thunderbird, the clansfolk dispersed and ran off into the forest. You looked around. Degesto's fortune hunters had been somewhat torn apart, it has to be said. There are still a few of them left. And as you were looking at each other in victory, you heard cries and screams coming from New Earthmore. So probably not good news. But now is the time you get to find out. So let's kick off the session, and I'm just going to hand it straight over to you guys. What are we doing, having heard this disturbing hue and cry from New Earthmore?
Giving everyone a very concerned look.
We have to go.
Secondary attack, maybe?
Is anybody actually dying right now?
I'm not dying, but I'm not in good shape.
Two of Degesto's fortune hunters look like they have no intention of getting up from on the ground where they're kind of nursing some wounds.
Elindra was not including Degesto's men in her definition of anyone. We need to go.
Let's at least have a look. I'm hurt, but we need to see what's happening.
You stay at the back.
Okay. Is there any dissent from this? It doesn't sound like there is. Okay. With a muffled curse, Degesto kind of uses that alchemical fire tube he uses as both fire tube and warhammer to kind of heave himself back up off his knees, and beckons at the other two fortune hunters who are in decent enough shape, and they start kind of like, making their way behind you as fast as you can towards New Earthmore. I think, as I said, it's not the raiding camp wasn't far from the walls of New Earthmore. It was just kind of out of sight around a rise and beyond some trees. So it doesn't take too long at all for you to make your way through, even though traversing the kind of slightly swampy ground at night definitely means most of you will get kind of wet and muddy up to your knees at various points. You emerge round so that New Earthmore is in sight. Obviously, at nighttime, you wouldn't particularly expect a settlement like this out in Davokar to be particularly lit, but you can definitely see some light kind of creeping over the edge of the palisade around the village ahead of you. You can see that there is rather a lot of flickering light coming from somewhere inside the palisade, which doesn't seem to be a good thing. And you can hear now more. You can hear kind of cries. You can hear shouts. You can, bad stuff seems to be happening. You can see, in fact, let's have a vigilant roll from everyone. And given how dark it is, I'm going to put a -2 on it, please.
Make it.
Yeah.
Okay, and Tom, Sam, definitely not for Steo. How about Elindra?
I rolled for Elindra and Revelia. Revelia failed, and for Elindra, I rolled a 20.
Okay, there we go. Well, I will confidently say then that Elindra and Steo probably haven't even noticed like the flickering, like you're just you're blinkers. Just trying to make your way forward maybe as fast as possible. Ascarai and Anton, you can see the figure of a man standing on the palisade, on the interior of the palisade, with what looks like a very kind of, it's a bow and arrow used for hunting small game. It's not like a war bow or anything like that, or not like a larger, more fearsome hunting bow like yours, Ascarai. It's a fairly thing, but they are aiming down inside the palisade and firing and loosing arrows inside the palisade.
There's fighting inside the walls. There's fire. We need to get in there, but I don't know if anyone will let us through the gate. I suppose all we can do is try.
I didn't say, but Ascarai is correct in that the gate is closed.
John, Aaron, Alindra, and Steo, you could make a plan. Ascarai, we could look to patch you up if you need it while they're planning.
Wouldn't go amiss. I'm quite hurt.
DeGesto says, what are we doing? Are we going round? If we need to go through that gate, I might have something.
Let's try knocking first.
Yeah.
We'll knock first, but if not, we'll try your technique.
When we're in kind of shouting, so yeah, I'm gonna just make the assumption that the person on the top of the wall who pointed out to me, I can now at least probably have recognized, is not with such a rubbish bow, is probably not an invading force and is probably one of the townsfolk.
Definitely seems to be, even from the vague light you can see them illuminated by.
And as such, I think I will call out to them.
Okay. You call out, the man on the walls turns and kind of peers and yells something at you. You can't quite hear over the sound of the furore inside. Are you going to presumably yell back and try and persuade them to open the gates?
I'm going to kind of, what's the best way to do this semaphorically? It's like, we have weapons and we can fight. Let us up. I'm going to kind of throw an end of my rope up to them and see if they'll kind of take it and allow us to scale the wall.
Okay. Well, first, why don't you give me a persuasive roll, please? And you know what? I think your chances are determined by whether this person has seen you before. So, i.e., whether they're a person maybe who you spoke to on the walls, or whether they're a person who brought out Morio, Elida's father, to you. So I'm just going to give a little luck roll and see where we are with that. Okay. They not only have they not seen you before, they're someone with a deep distrust of outsiders. So feel free to take a let's call it a -3 to that persuasive roll, please.
Well, my persuasive is 7, so I need 654 or lower. Oh, that's frustrating.
That's not it. For a moment, it seems like the guy on the palisade is sort of pondering whether to loose an arrow at you as well, before he kind of like looks away and scurries away down the palisade.
We have to go around then,
or whatever. DeGesto, can you get through the gate?
DeGesto has been fumbling on like that. I described he's wearing this sort of like large sort of leather smock with a number of kind of bandoliers and packages on it. And he has spent the last minute or so rooting around in one and has brought out quite gingerly what looks to be just a small pouch. And he waves it at you with a sort of sickly wolfish grin.
Ascarai takes a step back. Someone waving this at him.
Don't ask the engineering corps to do diplomacy, lads.
There's no one left to do diplomacy with. We need to get in.
We should probably have mentioned that, like, we killed Thunderbird and got rid of that warband.
I think we may not have got rid of enough of that warband. Look, you're right, Ascarai. We need to blow it.
Okay, while DeGesto quite happily goes through with this demand of him, Anton, you mentioned you were trying to heal Ascarai. Can we get that cunning roll, please?
That is a pass. 5.
Thank you.
Not too bad.
That's very.
If you've got time, I'd like to do that for myself as well. If that.
I'd say for the that covers the interaction so far, but obviously if you want to do it next, it will occupy a bit more actions from everyone else. But you can
I'm happy to lag behind if
Sure.
other people are making their way forward.
Yeah.
Interested feeling a little bit.
Ascarai, do you remember what I described as your nastiest hit or wound or anything like that, just for a bit of context?
I think it was a shoulder I think someone's axed me in the shoulder, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that sounds
Like-
sort of appropriate. So maybe Anton has like bound across your chest and around and like packed some sort of healing herbs tightly against the wound in your shoulder, so it's kind of poulticed up a bit, giving you a bit more like it's kind of, you can feel it numbing through, right? So you're getting a bit of the movement back in your arm, which is obviously pretty good for you as an archer.
Yeah.
DeGesto has kind of gone up to the wall, took that pouch out, seemed to find a kind of a crack in the wood of this rather ramshackle, it has to be said, gate, pressed the pouch into it, walked away a little bit. He was kind of fumbling with something you can't see very well in the dark, and seemed to kind of like snip something and then light something. And here he retreats from the gate. It has to be said, quite fast. Is anyone still near the gate? And if so, are they now moving away from the gate?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm going to make it an effort to always keep like as far away as DeGesto is from the gate. That's
Sure.
generally good advice when dealing with an explosives expert. I think.
Yeah. Never be closer than the pyrotechnician.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Well then, DeGesto retreats a full kind of like 50 feet or so from the gate, and kind of drops to one knee and looks over at it and kind of looks around at everyone and says, "It should be about." And at that point, the gate erupts in a hail of small wooden chunks and splinters, some of which do make it as far as you, to the point where I think, in fact, I'm going to ask for quick rolls from everyone.
Nope.
That was a 20. That was a
Of
big
course.
20.
Oh no!
Of course it was.
Revelia made it in time. Elindra did not.
Did not.
Both Aaron and Farron make it.
Okay, given the speed this stuff is traveling and how small it is, I'm going to discard armor from it. It's only a little flavor of pain for you all. Anyone who failed their quick roll, just take 1 toughness, please, as you feel kind of like a few cuts open up on your face, any part of you that's exposed, right? So your faces, your hands, maybe you feel like stinging score of splinters as they burrow into you at high speed from that explosion. Part of the gate is still hanging off the hinges, but most of it is gone, and you can see a couple of individuals kind of sprawled on the muddy, it's calling it a street is a stretch, the muddy path beyond the gate. They look to be townsfolk, and you can see that they are moving, but they're not particularly happy.
I think we're out of options for diplomacy. We need to go in and help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, helping. Yeah.
And maybe apologize at a later point in time.
Yeah.
Sure. That seems maybe the thing to do. DeGesto definitely concurs and is following you with the 2 other fortune hunters. You make your way through the gate, and as this is happening, Anton, feel free to roll your healing stuff on yourself. You make your way through the gates. The interior of New Earthmore is not particularly complicated. It seems to be a number of, most of which are, not small houses, and relatively well built, but definitely not luxurious in any way at all. The pathways between them, as I said, have been tried to have been paved with some stones and some kind of petrified wood over the years, but have enough kind of space and mud and slop between them that walking around does not seem to be an entirely pleasant task. As you sort of run forwards, you hear kind of the screaming sounds and the sounds of alarm echoing around. A few villagers who are hiding along the pathways between houses on either side of where you come in, kind of see you and flee off further into the village. Not many of them seem to be armed, and all of them seem to be essentially trying to just straight up avoid you. As you carry on moving forwards, you can hear what sounds to be the main part of the hubbub is coming from across the river. Do you remember, or stream, I suppose? Do you remember that a stream cuts directly through New Earthmore that comes down from kind of that overcropping on the north side of the village, and it seems to be coming from over that stream, which is kind of ahead of you. But obviously, you have to make your way forwards.
Just keep running that way. If people are staying out of our way, and there's a free path towards, until Askrai sees something that looks like an enemy, he's going to keep running towards it.
He's just going to keep running towards the sound, and it looks, there's nods all around here that I can see, so that's basically what we're doing. Sure. Anton, you're definitely lagging behind a bit. Have you made your roll?
Hailed 5 points.
Excellent. Okay. We'll just say that you arrive. If you're going the same route, we'll say you arrive like 1 or 2 turns after other people do. As you emerge out into the center of the town, there's a slightly sort of more open area that the stream runs through with a wooden, kind of not terribly well built looking wooden bridge leading over it. And as you go over that, you see there's a couple of villagers near you armed with sort of rudimentary hunting spears and hunting bows, and they sort of turn around and glance at you as you approach, and one of them kind of readies his spear up when he sees a couple of people emerging over the bridge, and then as soon as he sees the size of the group, one of the ones with the bows kind of yanks on his arm, and they kind of run off kind of towards where the swamp opens up and leads onto the riverside. They definitely don't want anything to do with a well-armed, somewhat fearsome-looking force like yourselves. You carry on running past them into the direction of the shouts and screams, which are very close now, and you emerge into, again, what isn't a huge open area, but as far as New Earthmore goes, seems to be something like that. You'd say it's maybe 30 feet by 30 feet in an irregular fashion of this kind of semi-paved swampy ground. And this is where, indeed, the commotion is. You see a number of villagers standing by, some of them with bows at the ready, a couple of them with spears, a couple of them with knives or axes, but they don't seem keen on directly charging and engaging the intruders. Said intruders, how much were we expecting this to be more of Thunderber's raiders? Quite
50-50?
Was definitely not.
Okay. Well, let's say Askarai is the only one not surprised then. Because in front of you are what seem to be, and let me get the numbers right here, 6 fully armed and armored Templars.
Oh.
They are wearing the tabards of the Sun Knights, but each one of them has been daubed over so that the sun is black. One of they're kind of standing in a close guard. You can see one of them is kind of bleeding slightly from a slight wound to the neck, but otherwise they look in perfect condition. One of them is stood slightly away from the rest, and he has a fairly young teenage girl secured against one side, pinned in by his large armored arm, and holding a sword in the other, as they all are, each of their swords wreathed in holy fire. Appropriately enough, Elindra, you definitely recognize this as the mystical power known as the Witch Hammer, which affords Templars to slay faster, especially when confronted by abominations or the undead. It seems fairly likely that the young lady being abducted is a leader, and as that Templar holding her turns and looks across at your group. His eyes widen in some surprise, and he says, "You!" It is Leohan Mikkel, the sole surviving brother of the 3 Mikkel brothers who you dealt with during Wrath of the Warden. As far as you're aware, he does not know you are responsible for killing his brothers. Or are you? Are you responsible for killing his brothers?
I mean,
No.
Yeah.
No,
A bit.
they got away, didn't they?
No.
Because they didn't get to. Didn't you just murder the old man
Oh.
while they were like?
I don't know if we are responsible. I'm pretty sure they died somehow.
yeah, 2 out of the 3 died, which I think was us at the farmhouse.
Okay.
Elindra was not happy about how that day panned out.
I know we also mugged him as he was lying in his sick bed.
We did,
But then
yeah.
Elindra went and had a conversation with him afterwards, and he didn't seem to
Yeah.
recognize us. So
I don't.
Yeah,
think...
we were sort of in disguise when we attacked him in his room.
No.
Mm.
You didn't murder them, but they went. I think they went missing. Was the idea because
Right.
they had gone to like report that the tablet had gone missing. I don't think you did kill them because the book kind of assumes you kill them, and I remember it going down slightly differently.
Just the old guy.
I agree that I don't think we killed them, but I think they were not alive from something.
Well, either way, it is just Leohan.
And a selection of other Knights of the Dying Sun.
Yeah.
I don't know if Elindra.
No.
I was going to say I don't know if Elindra ever spoke to Anton about what she'd learned about the Knights of the Dying Sun. I think she quite specifically has tried to shelter him from this.
Maybe. DeGesto looks across at you all. You see he has his fire tube ready, which could cause a big problem in a village entirely made of wood. But he's looking. He sees that Leohan recognizes you, and he looks over at you and sort of raises an eyebrow and hefts his fire tube slightly.
So just
it could also be a problem with a leader.
Taking a moment to just take in the scene here. Is there evidence that these friendly God is Dead crew have been causing a couple of maybe light war crimes in the area? Is there evidence they've been assaulting?
Oh, yeah, there are a few of the villagers' bodies scattered around for sure. In fact, give me a vigilant roll.
It's like 2 vigilant rolls in a row.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I make a contact Templars roll, or maybe just no? Like, I'm guessing that the chances of these guys standing down from their mission, which is quite obviously to lay waste to this place and steal at least this girl, is presumably something that they're not going to be talked down from, right? Like, is there any way?
If they are Templars of conviction, and particularly Templars of conviction enough to have gone in for this kind of fanatical death cult that they have become, that is very apparent from the book that you read, that it is following the teachings of this book is a straight line to fucking murder everyone and literally let God sort them out.
Sure. I mean, the slight problem is that Elindra is not entirely convinced they're wrong.
Sure.
But yeah, there's no.
You don't need to roll a contacts for that. Look, Templars don't negotiate. No. Yeah. You'd have to be. Yeah, it would be very surprising. Anyone who rolled vigilant, by the way, can notice that one of the villagers' bodies on the ground is Kerala, Elida's mother, who seems to have died trying to fight the Templars.
I don't think I'm going to stop running toward them.
All right, fair enough.
I am going to try and at least talk. I'll probably shout, "Sir, please release the girl and let's discuss this."
Leohan Mikkel kind of like holds his long sword up, one-handed, kind of pointed very directly at Steo, who is approaching, and say, "Hold your war dog back, sir, and perhaps we can talk."
I'll of my own volition, I'll kind of slow down and are they still on the other side of the bridge to us, or are we all on their side of the bridge?
You're all on their side of the bridge, but they are on the other side of this sort of open area between houses from you.
Yeah, so
Probably
I think
about 20 feet away from you, Steo. Probably about 20 feet away from you.
I think I'll kind of step back, but making it physically very clear that I'm ready to kick off at a moment's notice in a very infantryman style.
Sure. Leohan says, "I have no desire to hurt the heroes of Thistlehold, but we will not hesitate. We fight for Prios. We fight for the dead god, and even you will not stand in our way. Out of our way, sir."
I'm moving toward me, or
no, go ahead.
No, you carry on. It's still dialogue. There's still a chance. There's still a chance, John. There's still a chance.
The Templars are holding steady. They're like looking. They are kind of taking you all in very carefully and kind of watching every move.
So, would it not be best, if at all possible, if your task could be accomplished without further bloodshed?
There is no need for further bloodshed. Open a way and we will leave through the gate.
Let the girl go. She does not appear to want to go with you.
That is not happening and not her choice. Any of you who fear the name of Prios would do well not to stand in our way.
I'm afraid, sir, I may have to disagree.
Then I suppose you must come claim this child from the arms of Prios.
DeGesto, sort of lean over to one side. Do you think you could hit the other Templars without hurting the girl?
I don't know for sure. Do I risk it?
Oh, God. Yes.
I mean, all of you can hear him say this. Oh, okay. All right.
Steve's about to get toasty.
Okay.
The Erg with us.
Well then. Let's let's calculate some initiative while DeGesto fires, shall we? So obviously everyone here is involved, although Anton probably won't participate in the first round or two. And then on top of that, I don't suppose you still have the initiative for DeGesto and his Fortune Hunters, do you?
I do.
Okay,
Fortune
throw
Hunt-
those in.
Yep.
Sorry?
Nope, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't need you to tell me. I just need them included. And then on top of that, please include Leohan, who has a quick of 13 and a vigilant of 7. And his Templars, who have a quick of 11 and a vigilant of 5. And then I suppose we also need to do DeGesto's shot. So I am going to say that if he makes his shot, if he makes his shot, I suppose it won't. Yeah, I'm basically going to say we've got a problem if he doesn't make his shot. And if he doesn't, he might hit a leader. But otherwise, we'll be fine. And I think I will roll that now. Well, you're lucky. So in terms of what that actually does, that is going to be, that many points off each of them. And then, and this is where the rules always get slightly odd for me, because I'm like, because when it's NPCs on NPCs, right, it's standard numbers against standard numbers, which means that for this example, like a burning can burn up to 4 points, right? So if they've got armor over 4 points, fire can never hurt them, which doesn't really gel right, does it? I suppose what I could just do is change it to like an actual armor roll, right? So I could actually just armor roll for them each time, which maybe seems apt. But I also, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to straight up going to halve their the damage they take from the fire. That seems appropriate, because it is like, it's not just like it's going to leave fiery goop and stuff on them, right? It's not exactly napalm, but it's like, I think, and part of their clothes are cloth as well. So I think I'm just going to halve the damage they take from the burning. So let's do that, which they won't take now anyway. Either way, how's that initiative looking, John?
There we go.
Shockingly, Askarai first, which I never would have expected. So Askarai, what are you doing, friend?
The choice is between, does Askarai think he can hit Liahan without hitting a leader?
I will say that you can, unless you roll a 20.
Okay.
I think that's a decent way to do that, right?
Yeah, I agree. Askarai's going to bet on himself and try and shoot Liahan. It seems like if Liahan is gone, then the fight should be relatively okay. So Askarai's he's gonna Hunter's Mark Liahan to give him 2 tries to hit, and he's gonna do an armor piercing shot. He thinks Templars are gonna be pretty well armored, so
yeah, they are. Their armor is pretty comparable to Elindra's.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the modifier?
Oh yeah, his defense is -3.
Okay, so that's when he's a 13 or less. It was a 17 on the first hit, on the first attempt, and a 4 on the second Hunter's Instinct attempt. So makes it.
This is ignoring armor, right?
Yeah, it's a D10 plus 1, which is 9 damage.
9 damage. 1 second. I just want to check something on the stat block. Ooh, that's interesting. What's your corruption? Sorry.
I think I roll another D4. I think I have Hunter's Instinct level 2. Yes, I do.
Only you can answer that question.
Yeah, I do. I'll roll a D4, which is 3. So 12 damage.
12 damage. Okay, yeah. As I was saying, what's your corruption value?
I have no corruption. My threshold is 6. Right?
You have no corruption. Do you not?
No,
isn't your cloak bound to you?
Yes, but I think I did it with XP. Is that a thing? Or maybe it's not bound to me.
We never bounded any of the items yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're just using it as armor, I think.
Yeah. Because the other thing is like persuasion, which I have terrible persuasion. So I think I
so you didn't bother to do it. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so that's 12 damage. Getting past the thing. Okay, well that's past his pain threshold.
Good.
Yeah.
So are
Sardonic.
we doing a second attack?
Yes, I will do a second attack. Which again,
Did we determine if you can do like an armor thing, piercing thing? On
I
this, or is
I
that-
don't think so.
Is
I
it
don't
once
think
a
so.
turn you can do? Yeah.
It's an active thing, so I think it's
Yeah.
probably have to.
Yeah. So it's just a standard attack this time.
But you
So
still get
go
the
for it.
double roll, don't you?
Yeah, I still got the double roll and the plus 1d4 for it from the Hunter's
Mhm.
Instinct. I think I rolled a third. He has a -3. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so I do hit, and it's 6 damage, but not ignoring armor.
Okay. Well then, Leohan is not one shot, or as it would be 2 shot, I suppose. Your first arrow goes through Leohan McKell's face. Literally slams in on one side of his cheek and comes out just underneath his ear on the other side. He lets out a pained gurgle, and the other kind of reels back, which means that the other arrow just scores a line across his neck as he kind of like throws himself back. I'm going to say he's so thoroughly enraged by this that he's going to kind of grab the girl by the neck and kind of throw her backwards against the wall of a building where she thumps painfully and kind of drops to the ground. You can see she's still moving. Leohan is going to kind of ready both hands on his blade with that arrow stuck through his fucking face, and is going to start charging essentially directly towards you. But before he has a chance to do anything about that, it is Alindra's turn. There are 5. I didn't really describe the fire tube's effect on the Templars, did I? Beyond just talking about numbers. So Degesto's fire tube made a cacophonous, explosive discharge in this relatively sort of like built up around confined space, which led to most of the villagers just kind of like diving backwards. The flames roared over the group of 5 Templars gathered in a line. It didn't seem to cause much immediate damage to them. Obviously, this thing does a lot more damage to people not wearing metal armor. But you can see that all of them are smoldering to a certain degree, like the linen kind of under armor and the tabard. So they're all in various degree in flames, but don't seem to have been much damaged initially, and are just kind of bracing themselves for either charging forwards or you charging of them, whichever comes first. With that in mind, Alindra, what are you doing?
Okay, so Alida's just been, the girl we assume is Alida has been thrown. Like, is the layout of the area such that I could make a beeline for her?
You'd have to go through Leohan at least, and probably the other Templars too.
Okay. Is there any? I take it there's no getting round in this space.
I mean, you can, but it would take you 3 to like move and creep around the side of the large space rather than go directly for her.
Okay. Lynch really reluctant to engage these guys is the thing. So she was gonna can I delay my initiative until after their turn and see what they do?
Yes, you absolutely. I believe there is a.
I found it.
Yeah, for that, right?
You choose to delay your initiative during the turn to let someone else go first. When it's your time to act, you'll specify who will get to act before you. The next turn, you're back at your normal place in the initiative order.
Yeah.
So I think Alindra,
where you go. Yeah.
I think Alindra and Revelia will probably both take their turns after the Templars this round. That's cool.
Absolutely fine. Yep.
Cool.
In which case, it's Leohan first. And Leohan is going to charge directly for Askarai.
Is he going to get past me? Because remember, I'm quite far in front of the group.
Well, you know what? You are, but exactly where you are in position to that direct trajectory, I think is a lot. Let's do a little roll, right? To see where. And I take it what you want is to be in the way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Of course. Well, you are. You are directly in the way. Liahan
Thank you.
looks like he wants to charge through you, but I'm happy for you to basically kind of force him to engage you instead.
Yeah, well, if he's coming into my sphere of influence, I get my reaction anyway, and that's when the fun roller coaster starts.
Yeah. Okay. So Liahan is charging in and engaging you effectively by accident. You know, when you got an arrow through your head, you're not thinking clearly, really. So, yeah, go for it with your free attack on him. Then -3. That's right.
12 or better. Oh, that's a bad thing to happen.
That is a bad miss. Okay, so he's going to take that free attack because that is a free attack on a defensive botch, right? Yeah, fumble defense. Oh no, fumbled attack. Yeah, you take a free attack from the target. Okay, so not only that, but he is within your long now, right? Like he's
No, I'm not getting any more benefits this round. So
sure, absolutely. Okay, well then, could you please give me a defense roll? I don't think he has. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, defense roll at -5, please.
That's 5 or less.
Oh,
somebody clip this bullshit.
Okay, you get an attack back on him, I guess.
I have lost the will to. Oh, hello! That is a separate. Look, I can prove that is a separate roll. Oh, God,
wonderful. All right. So that's a hit on him. So take a damage roll and put an extra D6 on it.
You're on mute, Chris.
That's a goddamn 9, so that's 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then a D6 is 2, so another 12 damage for the gentleman.
Another 12 damage for him. Okay. Well, here's what happens. Okay. John?
Sorry, go ahead. No, it's fine.
Okay. So he charges across this ground straight towards Askarai. Steo, you kind of just take one step, to the left to get in between this charging raging Templar and his target. You jab out at him and he knocks your spear to one side quite expertly. If you want to break a line of spearmen, you do it with someone with a very big weapon, and he knocks it to one side, closes within your range. He as I said, he clearly can hold the longsword very well in one arm, and he kind of reaches out the full length of it and sweeps it back round towards you, with the intent of just slashing through your throat or your breast and cutting you down before making his way to Askarai. You see this coming, and in the same way that he knows how to break a spear defense, you know how to defend against the breaking of a spear defense. You slip down to one knee, let your spear point tip down, and as you feel the wind of his blade cropping barely an inch over the top of your head, you thrust one hand forward on the very foot of your spear, put your foot behind it, and thrust both up and forwards. There is a sickening crunch as your spear penetrates through underneath Liahan Mikkel's chin, upwards, and then you feel the pop as it emerges from the top of his head. Your spear kind of topples to the floor half with you as his instantly dead body hits the ground. Dead as Prios.
Controversial.
Who's going to take the word of all three of these to their mother? That's what I want to know.
Oh God.
So that's Liahan Mikkel. Arindar. There are 5 Templars, and unlike the raiding party, they definitely don't give a shit morale-wise about the death of Liahan Mikkel. So they're going to carry on fighting. What are we doing?
I guess I should probably move forward to engage one of them.
Engaging one of them is difficult. They're fighting as a line. So I would say even if you engage them on the edge, until other engagements happen, you're going to be flanked by at least one of them.
Can I want to delay my action until after they go, because I'm more powerful if they come towards me.
Sure.
Sort of. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Well then, here is what is going to happen. We've got the Templars acting now. They're not going to advance forward as a complete line and just engage one person. That would be weird. But they are definitely going to move forward in a way which encourages them getting flanks off on people. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll to see where these engagements land. And Elindra, I'm safe in saying that while you were not delaying to see to engage them, you weren't like, you hadn't moved back or anything, had you? You were still.
I was.
with your
I mean, I was
friends.
already a good chunk behind Theo, so I guess I'm in line with kind of Ascarai.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna roll, and I'm gonna weight it quite heavily towards Steo, because Steo is out in front. So with that in mind, so 2 of them move to engage you, Steo, and I'll say another 2 of them are moving to engage Elindra and Revelia. And then the final one, I think I'll just because I think they can probably get to Ascarai now, so I'll throw him in as well this time around, I think. Okay, the other one is going to charge towards you, Arendar. So there we go. Let's deal with. Okay, 2 of you are going to get responses to this. Let's deal with Steo's responses first, shall we?
I think I'm being engaged. Would I be correct in that assumption?
You are being engaged by 2 of them. Yes.
Cool.
So.
Now, my reading of the skill here does allow me to, as reactions, to
Yes.
you
can react to both.
Of
it absolutely does. Yeah. So go for it. That they are a defensive -1.
Okay. 14 or better. 11 is a success. Oh, sorry, that was an 11, a success in the first one, and the second one is a 15, which is a fail.
Okay, so let's deal with the attack.
Yeah, -1. No, -1 +1 because of accurate. So those are 2 successes.
Because of precise, is it?
Precise, yeah.
Yeah, and your accurate is 15, right? So
yeah.
Okay then.
Yes.
Well, that's rolling for damage on both of them, right? So yeah, go ahead and do that.
The first one takes 5 potential points of damage, and the second one takes a monstrous 10 points of damage. Yum.
Okay. So the first one to come in your range, you heft off as you're kind of getting to your feet again. You heft off with a sharp kind of jab out where you fully extend your arm, and they kind of reel back to avoid getting the point in their face, and it clatters across their gorget around their neck, but doesn't seem to penetrate at all. The second one is far less lucky and takes a good thrust of your spear into kind of their flank, I guess. Like you feel it scrape across their ribs as it punctures through some of their mail and drags on. And when it comes out, you can see a kind of dark glistening of blood on the end of your spear.
John raises an excellent point. While we may know absolutely nothing about this spear's backstory, we do know that it also does have deep impact alongside precise. So that's 11 points of damage on the spicy one.
Okay. Okay. And presumably 1 more point on the other one as well.
Yeah, but I imagine he probably caught it on armor, so I don't think it's
No. Yeah, his armor precisely matched it, so you do get 1 toughness on them. Let's say you scratch their face or something. And also, I need to roll for the fire on them. The one of them who you barely touched just seems to be kind of smoldering, and nothing too much more than that. As is the other one. They're not kind of on fire. There's just kind of like patches of smoking, smoldering embers kind of that look to be kind of caught between their armor, which is probably singeing them nastily, but not kind of, outright in flames or going to kill them. Let's deal with Arendar, because that seems to be the other more complex attack in if they miss. Let me just check their stat, but I think yes, it is. Defense at -5, please, John.
Ooh. I know another Templar isn't engaged with me, But
Correct.
is everyone else close enough that if I used my acrobatics, I could still sort of send him careening into one of his friends?
No. What does the description of acrobatics say?
Hang on, I've got an edited version in my actual sheet because I don't have room.
It's in the core book, right?
Yeah.
Let me look. I've got it here. Acrobatics is at level 3.
Mastery.
Wow, it's mastery. Yeah, you spent a lot of points on that.
Mhm.
Use an enemy as a shield and have that enemy suffer a successful hit instead of the character. See, it precisely says an enemy as a shield. So it's less that you're redirecting against another enemy in the area, and more it says you're using an enemy as a shield. To me, and maybe this is unfair because, as I say, that kind of implies they need to be you're engaged with them.
Close. That's fair. Yeah, it does also. So there's a sentence earlier on, in combat with more than one opponent, and I'm never sure whether that means in a general melee brawl where there is more than
No,
one
it
bad guy, or
definitely
just-
means engaged.
Right.
I think I would.
So if you're engaged with 2 or more enemies, you can make one of them hit the other one instead of you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay, so a -5, you say?
I do say.
That's rough. And I just fail it.
Okay, that's an armor roll then, please.
It's a D8 plus 1. It's an 8.
Well, that's pretty damn good. You feel the longsword, and you have like lamellar sort of overlapping, not plate armor, but like overlapping scales, right?
Mhm.
You feel the impact of the longsword against sort of between your large kind of shoulder plate and the ones that kind of band round almost like a fish scale around kind of your collar, and it doesn't it hurts like hell. It doesn't penetrate, but more than that, what you feel is the heat. This thing kind of, it burns, and it burns like not like being close to an equivalent flame like a torch or something like that. You feel like your head has just been thrust into a bonfire. It doesn't hurt you because the flames didn't really make contact with you, but they burn with a kind of unnatural brightness, and now that they're kind of like up close, you can see the flame is like white hot. Prios's fury, and it seems to not care to any degree that you are a faithful of Prios. So there we go. But your armor did take the blow. So okay, one of them is going to attack Elindra, and one of them is going to attack Revelia. And there's no flanking to consider because it's 2. I'd say you're close enough. It's just 2 on 2, right?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elindra gets a response. Revelia doesn't.
Oh yeah, you've got long now, haven't you? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's deal with yours first then. So make an attack at -1, please.
Attack at -1. I need a 14. I get an 18, so that's a fail. But I do also have the 2-handed force that lets me make another attack, but for less damage if I hit.
Is that on any attack, or is it on,
when an attack misses the target?
Oh yeah, I'd say that's it then. Yeah,
Okay.
if it's reactive. Yeah,
so that one passes, but it's only going to do like 1d6 plus 1.
Okay, go for it with that one.
6.
Okay, well that does do some damage then.
Cool.
So yeah, as they kind of come in, but your long attacks don't stop them engaging you, right?
No, that's just like it's a once per
attack.
Round freebie.
A free
that's
attack,
that for the round, yeah.
Well, as they come in on you, you manage to kind of swipe and sort of delay their strike a little bit and leave what seems like a mild puncture on the inside of their arm. But then I guess you have to roll defense for their actual attack on you. So that's going to be a -5, please.
Oosh. So I need a 8. I roll a 2. So yes, Elindra defends.
And same for Revelia.
She needs a 9 and rolls an 11. So Revelia's going to get hit.
So defense 14. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
She's going to get hit though. So does she have armor?
She's got chainmail, one d8 protection.
Well, that's not bad. Go ahead and roll that for her.
So she rolls an 8.
There's something about rolling 8s, I guess. Again, the Templar, you can see the Templar kind of slash and sort of angle their blade round her shield, and it clashes against kind of her upper arm. And she steps back. She has a look. She seems more afraid to fight them than anyone else you've seen her fight, probably for understandable reasons. She kind of glances over her arm, expecting to presumably see like a ragged, stump where her arm was, but her armor does not seem to have been penetrated. So there we go. And I think, I have to roll fire for all of those. So the one facing you, Alindra, isn't taking any damage, doesn't seem to be taking any harm from the fire that remains on them. The one facing Revelia, the same. And the one facing Arindar, you know what? Does sort of, as that exchange happened between you and they took a step away, you saw part of the hair at the back of their head burst into flames, which they responded with a curse, and kind of like one hand left the sword and they just smoothed the flames out along the back of their head. But as it comes away, you can see kind of bits of burnt flesh and skin coming away with their hand as they shake it off and clasp on onto the sword again. So the flames on them are out, but it definitely caused a bit of damage before it went. Okay, we have some fortune hunters now who
we have Alindra and Revelia and
you do
and Aaron now.
Oh yeah, you all delayed to after the Templars.
delayed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go. Let's keep it in the order that it was originally in. So Alindra, please.
Sure. So as I engage with this guy, I will kind of say, I wish you hadn't, brother, and then try to kill him with my sword.
Yeah, sure. That's at a -1, please.
Cool. I rolled a 20.
Oh.
It's all happening tonight.
It's all happening tonight. So they are going to get a free attack on you. So roll your defense at -5, please.
Yeah. Do you think the two-handed force still gives me a second attempt at attack, even though I guess not on a 20, right? Like that's.
I don't think so. I think
okay.
well.
20s do have to be quite catastrophic, though.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we could even institute that as a rule that things that should trigger on missed attacks don't when you roll a 20. I actually quite like that.
It's a combo breaker. Okay.
Yeah, I actually quite like that.
All right, let's do that then.
Let's do that then. Sure.
So I'm just rolling defense -5.
Yeah.
That's a fail.
Okay. Armor roll, please.
Yeah. That's a 1d8. 5.
5. Okay. So what was it you said? I wish you
hadn't, brother. Yeah.
You hear the Templar growl under his breath, "No brother of yours," and then kind of neatly deflects, kind of parries your strike and runs his blade along yours and thrusts out, and you feel the sharp stab of it piercing through the side of your shoulder and into you. And you feel the flames of the witch hammer wash against your skin. Honestly, far more painful than the stabbing. What do you roll? A 5, right?
Yep.
Okay, it didn't go in far. That's 3 toughness.
Oof, okay. Right. I guess Revelia is going to attack
at -1.
-1. That is a success for Revelia. So she's got a standard sword.
Student becomes the master.
Yeah. She does 3 damage. So
okay, yeah, that's not
quite yet. She doesn't.
So at the moment they're just basically here in the Templar are just kind of tentatively exchanging blows. You almost get the impression that maybe this Templar, she's still wearing her novice's, her squire's, not a novice, you're a novice, like her squire's robes. Maybe he's taking those in and is kind of like sparring a little to try and, or maybe it's just that they're thrashing each other and neither of them are having much luck. Arindar,
I think technically we're incognito, aren't we? After the because
Oh yeah, of course you are.
So I think
Okay,
we've
discard
probably
everything
taken-
I said then.
I mean, they may be able to recognize us anyway in our sort of training and fighting style.
Yeah, maybe. Arendar, attack at
I'm
-1,
going
please.
to. I think I'm at +1 because I'm surrounding him because I've got Farron with me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
+1,
sorry,
target
alright.
of 7.
If anyone's curious, that's our impromptu rule before John has actually bought Ferrin as an animal companion. We thought it needs some advantage. So basically, like, he can use Ferrin as a flanker, but Ferrin doesn't do damage or anything like that.
Yeah, he's just sort of lurking behind them.
Yeah,
that is
distracting
a
them.
hit. So it's D12 plus D4, which is 10.
D12 plus D4 is crazy. Where is that? Like, what's the D12? Why is it D12?
Because Sword Saint, the first level upgrades from D8 to a D10, and then the mastery upgrades precise weapons to a D12.
Wow, you've really focused your character. You've got 2 masteries, but like nothing else, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got a couple of other 10s. I've got man at arms at the 20s.
Here's where we find that like John thinks that XP costs are half of what they are or something.
That's a boon. No, yeah, I've got 2 masteries, 1 adept, and 1 novice.
Yeah,
how many masteries?
This is quite special. I've got nothing.
Got nothing.
I think it was because I got a bunch of XP in one chunk as the level up between Fetters of Stone to this. So
yeah, which makes it easier to
high.
buy builds to build tall. Yeah. Cool. What was that? Was that 10 damage?
Yes.
10 damage. Okay. Well, that is unfortunately it's not over their pain threshold. But you definitely do you use your fighting kind of slightly large, slower opponents like this, who are sort of at least a bit more plodding than a nimble duelist, is always your forte, and you manage to find a gap in their defense, stab in, and definitely leave some kind of, you can't really tell how much, but some kind of thrusting wound in their belly, which they grunt and kind of reset themselves before taking another swing at you. Okay. You don't get like any follow-up attacks or anything, do you?
Not if I hit.
No.
Not even if I miss. Yeah. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
No, that'd be ridiculous.
Absolutely. So there we go. So now it is the Fortune Hunters' turn. And the Fortune Hunters are... I'm probably just going to roll randomly for where they go, because I think that's probably fine. And they are going to... There's only 2 of them. One is going to back up Revelia. And the other one is going to back up you, Steo. So one of your opponents is now also flanked. The one who you've hurt more, if that's of any interest to you. Unfortunately, again, NPC on NPC fights, the Fortune Hunters' damage they do against Templars is 0. So basically, they're just there kind of, with their daggers and their axes trying to like distract them. While people with more impressive weaponry can cut them down. But they will act as flankers, so that's useful. Who we got next? We got Steo. And Steo, I'm correct in saying you fended both of them off, right? So...
Well, did I, though? Because I rolled a 20. So that would have been a non-success on the fend. So I am technically engaged with that one.
Are you?
Yeah, because 20 is catastrophic. So
Yeah,
I would not have...
Did you roll a 20? I can't remember that. You did? Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Well, and then a perfect defense, and then that's where the fun happened. It was a critical miss and then a perfect defense.
You damaged them both.
Yeah, it's because he did it just before we brought in that house rule.
But he wouldn't have... But even with the 20, he wouldn't have...
The 20 and the 1 was against Leohan, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
against the Templars was just like a standard
Oh my God.
hit.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
You,
so
you got
sorry.
the 11 and 6.
Yeah, you
Oh,
got
okay,
It's
them
10
both.
and 5.
You definitely
Okay,
heard them
no,
both.
you're,
So
you're
yeah,
right. I
yeah,
did
yeah.
successfully fend them both off, so I'm no longer
Yeah.
engaged with them.
So are you going to step in and engage one of them? And is it going to be the one who's already flanked?
I think so. Just working out the strategy here because this is my reaction. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so you
Because
step
I'm moving.
in,
Procs the reaction, which then procs mastery on the spear.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes.
If you engage one of them, you get an attack on one of them, and if it succeeds, they're still not engaged with you.
Yeah,
But you can.
that's
hit-
the plan.
Yeah, sure. So that's a defensive -1.
Let's go.
Oh no, it's not -1. It's +1 because of the flank, right?
Yeah, that would make sense. Well, it's a 14, and that is a success because my all my bits are 15. The damage on that is 9 + 1 and 10. It's 10.
And an extra D4 for the flank.
Oh, the flank, of course. 4.
Nice. So what's that? 14 in total.
14 in total.
14 in total. Minus that. Oh yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah, the one of the Templars fighting you is kind of whirled round to face this fortune hunter, and kind of like she hefts like the blade up in kind of in falcon, as Elindra will recognize it, and steps forward to bring it down on this fortune hunter who you register as. Do you remember the fortune hunter who recognized you all? You see that it's kind of her, and she kind of backs off and sort of goes into kind of two hands with her short axe and holds it up to try and deflect the blow, and probably would not have done that, but also doesn't need to worry about it because at the moment that long sword starts coming down, you step in and just thrust through the back of the Templar's neck out through the front. He gurgles and chokes and topples over and crashes to the ground. Not long for this world.
Oh, nice. Now I have so this is the thing I bought those throwing daggers for, because now technically I have a spare action, don't I? I have a movement action.
I think
Yes,
you have
a movement action.
Yeah,
I
so
think
I can't
you-
use that for. I can't use that for throwing the weapon. Then
No, but you could use your movement action to move and engage the other one, and therefore you would get a free attack.
Oh, this is filthy. This build is actually filthy.
You just chain across people. Yeah,
you kind of do, and I'm a little bit offended at how disgusting it is. But I also who's this other one squaring off against? Are they at the
no one. They're
just on me.
They're trying to engage you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm not going to show much mercy on these people because they've just done a war crimes in a village. I kind of care
as Sam
about.
says, you could also have used the movement action to engage that one and therefore get the free attack. It's kind of up to you which ones you do. Like going forwards, I think I'd like you to declare which one you're using, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I'll have to remember that. Okay, so what I'd like to do is retcon to use the movement action for the first one, so I have the attack action, so I can use the thrown steel.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And are you going to throw at the one who's trying to engage you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. That's just defense -1.
So this is suboptimal, but it is. I think it's a little bit nicer from a narrative perspective. Still an accurate roll, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
It will be, yeah.
Yeah, that's a success.
Okay, what's the damage of your throw? What have you got? Throwing daggers?
Yeah, they're nice throwing daggers of northern construction with D6 damage, and it's a 4.
It's a 4. Well, unfortunately, then it rebounds off the armor of the Templar. But you definitely have their attention. I mean, you had their attention already anyway. They were fighting you, and you also just stabbed their friend in the back of the neck. And now she's down on the ground. So, yeah, it doesn't do any damage, I'm afraid. Anton, your action is arriving and seeing this all happen.
Great.
I always feel super guilty when we have these big combat sessions, Mike. You're always near the end of the initiative, and lots of the time you're just sat there just watching us fight for like an hour.
No, it's all good, because I think that actually in this fight, Anton would have always taken a back seat because I can't really do much in this anyway without giving away that I'm a holy man. So this does make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. Carry on, have fun, and I will join the party soon.
Absolutely.
Oh, I almost feel bad for him, but for the fact he rolls terrible dice.
Sure. So DeGesto, for his part, has kind of again taken his fire tube and is using it as a huge metal club, and he steps in. And you know what? I think he's probably. I'm going to roll to see who he intervenes with because I think I could see him making 2 picks. So I'll just roll and see. Okay. Yeah, Stio, the Templar you just threw the knife at, DeGesto sort of like looms behind him and sort of thwacks that fire tube over his head where it cracks into. He does have a helm and he kind of like staggers forwards. But he's definitely looking like DeGesto just rung his bell, something fierce. So there we go. DeGesto is now engaged with him, so he is also going to be flanked. Yeah. And there we go. That's the end of the round. So back to the beginning. Askarai, who's going to die?
Who's going to hopefully die? So there's 1 fighting Elindra, 1 fighting Revelia, 2 fighting Stio, and 1 fighting Aaron.
One of them one fighting Stio because the other one's dead.
Okay. It doesn't seem like anyone's struggling particularly.
No one's struggling hugely, no.
I'll shoot the one fighting Revelia, maybe, since
sure.
Yeah. I feel like Revelia might be most in danger of getting killed.
Sure.
If a good hit comes
out. We're using armor penetration, or are we doing a double shot?
Definitely armor penetration, but I will hunter's mark this person, so I get 2 tries to hit them.
Sure.
Okay, I rolled an 8, so I think that hits. And
yeah, it's only a -1 defense.
It's a D10 and a D4 ignoring armor, which is a total of 7.
7, okay. Not a big hit. You can see your arrow kind of like embed itself in their lower back at the side, but you're pretty sure you haven't hit the spine or an organ or anything like that because it's just kind of at an odd angle, and they don't seem to have particularly noticed it in the adrenaline of focus of combat. So you don't think you did a huge amount of damage. Are you doing anything with your?
I think that's the first time you've rolled a normal amount of damage.
Oh no, it was armor piercing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Matt. Sorry. So how much damage was it again? 7.
It was 7 ignoring armor. Yeah.
7 ignoring armor. Yeah, that's my bad. Okay, the same thing, but it does look like it's maybe gone in far enough to hit an organ, and they give out a kind of howl and reach around and kind of like crack the arrow in half with one swipe of their kind of gauntleted hand before they turn back on Revelia and the Fortune Hunter who they're fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Doing anything with your movement action? I'm guessing not.
No. If I feel like I'm in a good position, I'm going to stay where I am.
Sure. Absolutely. Elindra, you are facing a pretty healthy Templar.
Yeah, let's try and change that. It's -1 for attack, right?
It is.
I rolled a 3, so that's good.
That's a good hit.
So D12 plus 1 damage, 5 in total.
5 in total damage. Yeah, unfortunately, your longsword just crashes against their kind of similar attire to yours and doesn't seem to pierce through. Elindra not having much luck in this fight.
No,
but it's her reluctance.
Yeah, I think
she doesn't want to cut them down.
She's like, "Have you got an application form?" You know.
Yeah.
What's the health cover like?
Yeah. So, Revelia's attack, please, Stephen.
Right. Revelia hits and is do D8 damage. A 5.
Again, so there's a theme to you and Revelia's fighting these Templars. No?
But is the one she's fighting flanked?
Flanked.
So
Flanked,
she gets an extra D4, right?
Correct. She does.
Cool. Let's call that 7 in total then.
Okay, then. Revelia this time. She got a sword or an axe? I can't remember.
She's got a sort of like a very sort of standard training sword kind of thing.
Standard, like an arming sword. Yeah. She kind of catches a wild swing from the Templar, kind of aimed at the Fortune Hunter, kind of on her shield, and kind of punches it out and knocks the Templar slightly off balance, and then stabs into his thigh, a light stab into his thigh with her blade. And her courage in this conflict with a Templar seems renewed to a certain degree. We'll see if that lasts to the Templar's turn, where he like chops her in half or something. Aaron Dar.
I'm gonna swing at the one fighting me.
Yep, seems to make sense. -1.
That is a hit. But he's still flanked, so I still get the plus.
Plus 2/4.
That is nope, 12 damage.
Woo!
Someday I will learn the difference between a 9 and a 6.
12 is a lot of damage, and it's also just about enough damage. The Templar steps forward to try and bull you with his weight and the size of his sword, and just kind of his kind of armored form. Again, a classic error against a duelist. You kind of scamper backwards, kind of swinging your saber against his face until he kind of like almost kind of just becomes essentially just confused and disoriented. And when he kind of like takes a step back and readies his guard into a standard kind of like guard again to sort of against what a normal speed opponent would be fairly good timing, it's not enough for you. And you dart in, pierce the mail just kind of on the side of his breast. You feel your sword run between ribs and kind of crunch into something harder than bone but softer than flesh between those ribs, and the point of your blade is dragged to the ground with speed. He's instantly dead from your blow, pierced through the heart, and you're to blame. I lived for that reaction from Mike. So time for the Templars.
Matt, I don't do puns.
That's not a pun. That's a reference. That's an homage. So one of the Templar is going to give up engaging Steo and is just going to strike for Degesto, and is in fact going to hit Degesto and slice through his arm for what seems a not insignificant wound, which Degesto will kind of roar and step forward and thoroughly, basically try and just knock this Templar's head off his shoulders with the fire tube. There is one fighting. Yeah, Alindra and Revelia need to roll for defense, basically. So Alindra, let's go with you first.
Let's do that. What are we at? Is it -5 still?
It is -5.
Okay, I needed an 8 and I rolled a 9. So let's roll some armor, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
That's a 6.
Okay. In that case, the Templar's sword makes contact with the kind of crook of your elbow, and you feel the flesh slice uncomfortably underneath the blow. And that is going to be 2 toughness, please.
Yeah. It's by 1,000 cuts. Okay.
1 by Revelia.
Yep. She again passes her defense. She's clearly just more nimble.
Yeah, like I say, she's just overtaken you. This is just how it is now.
Yep.
The Fortune Hunters That Fortune Hunter that was flanking a dead Templar is now going to flank the one engaged with you, Elindra, but they can't do any damage, so we just move straight on to Steo. Steo, if you want to, the one nearest to you is the one fighting Degesto, and obviously you can engage and then.
So I will make my movement action to engage, and roll a happy dice. 12 is a success on that. And
don't forget your D4 for flanking.
Oh, that's a 10 on the D10. 2, so that is 13 damage altogether. Good gracious, I apologize.
13. Ooh. Terribly that they're still not quite over their pain threshold. But the tip of your spear crunches into their back. And you feel something give way underneath it. And like as it goes in, you see one of their legs kind of like buckle as a result of what you've done. And then they heft themselves back up on the other one and with a roar kind of swing their longsword round. You can see it in their eyes that they are effectively in the process of passing out. Or passing even further out. But they still have enough fight in them to be standing and swinging for now. But I guess that depends what you're now doing with your combat action, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to move on and to do some more throwing weapons, but I was expecting to kill this guy. So I'm going to have to follow through with the second attack, unfortunately.
Okay, go for it.
So re-engaging, and that's actually a fail.
Is it a fail at a +1?
It is indeed a fail at a +1 because I've got 15. +1 is 16. +1 from accuracy. It's not a fail. I've killed him.
Well, if you can roll over his armor, you've killed him. Don't forget to add a D4 for the flank.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry. Another 13. That's the same damage roll as last time.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say you've killed him. As he roars and kind of like swings around wildly, you take a pace back and stab in again. And the tip of your spear pierces his eye. And again, you feel the pop as the end of it breaks through the back of his skull. Another individual dead before they hit the ground.
I'm not sure we're the good guys. Maybe.
Who's going to tell his mother, Steo?
Who's going
to break the news?
I mean, yeah, I did mention the mother just because it's all the McKell brothers, but I think we should give a long thought about all the mothers you've left bereft through the course of all these adventures.
Yeah, it just seemed time to humanize that one heretical ex-Templar.
Yeah, I think that ancient kind of like demigod hunting elf spirit thing. That was someone's son. Or
something's
deny
son.
it. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Anton, what you doing, friend? You get to go, Mike.
I will barrel forward recklessly and get myself killed.
Sure, absolutely. If you do that, that will make this the best session we've ever had. So there's one fighting Elindra that looks to be in fairly decent shape, and one fighting Revelia that looks to be in pretty rough shape. They're both already flanked by Fortune Hunters. Which one are you going for?
I'll help out Elindra.
Okay. In that case, can you roll an attack at a +1, please?
I make it.
Damage, please. With an extra D4.
It's been so long since I've done a successful damage roll. I've just forgotten.
Don't know what your damage is.
This guy's about to get flailed.
10.
Is that with the extra D4 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. From your perspective, Elindra, you just like hear the thumping of someone kind of like running up to engage, and then the Templar fighting you just gives out a kind of sound as you see kind of the hefty There's no way to describe it. I know what, after I say this, people are going to start laughing. The hefty metal balls of Antom's flail kind of knocking him into the side and knocking the wind out of him as he sort of staggers off to one side as you register the priest kind of like desperately bringing that flail round for another strike. Okay, there we go. De Gesto, for his part, is going to run over and engage probably someone.
I think the one fighting Revelia is the only one left, isn't he? Is that right?
And yours.
Oh, did Anton not finish him off?
No, not that much damage. Not Anton. No.
Right. Not quite Hunger Wolfed.
Yeah. But De Gesto will run into the one fighting Revelia and thump them thoroughly with the fire tube. And I think we're coming up on the end of things here, but let's carry on until one Templar is left at least, shall we? Ascarai. So after Ascarai, essentially. So Ascarai, the one fighting Revelia looks to be nearly dead. The one fighting Elindra looks to be pretty badly wounded. Who are we firing on, if at all? You're on mute, friend.
Sorry. Just to begin with, since with all this going on, can Ascarai just give a glance to, is Alida still?
Yeah, she seems to be kind of climbing to her feet. You can see her father kind of edging around the side of the clearing, looking at the conflict going on, kind of trying to get to her without being cut down in the process.
Okay, as long as she's still like here and hasn't, Ascarai would just want to keep tabs on if she like runs off or something.
No, Leohan threw her pretty fucking hard into that wall. She's kind of clambering back to her feet slowly.
Okay. Ascarai's going to take, he still has Hunter's Instinct on the one fighting Revelia, so he's going to shoot at that one. It means he gets 2 tries and it's more likely to kill them. He rolls a 1 on the attack, so this is going to be hopefully a lot of damage.
Ones are an extra D6 damage, right?
Yeah, so it's a D10, a D6, and a D4 plus 1, which is only a total of 7 damage, ignoring armor. I mean,
oh god, what's the extra? Oh, the D4 for Hunter's Instinct. Yeah. 7 damage though, right? Well, that's exactly what you need. So, your arrow kind of like, it doesn't look to be a killing arrow to you, but perhaps it was just kind of the last straw for this individual as it slams home into their shoulder and they just drop first to one knee and then to the other. They're still kind of moving and twitching on the ground, but you don't think that's they're going to have any further luck with that one. So what I'll do for the last one, as I do sometimes to just wrap up, because everyone could just gang up on one individual, what I will just do is roll a die, because the Templars are going to fight to the death. But I will determine this Templar is fighting 2 people at the moment. I will just roll a die and see who gets the kill, and I'll weight it towards who's more likely to get the kill. Yes. And essentially, this Templar, you see basically like the thoughts that they will emerge from this alive kind of vanish from their eyes. Elindra, and they just kind of step forward into a very dangerous strike against you, with the intent of maybe taking you with them. They don't even remotely manage it as you bat their sword to one side, thrust out, and kind of impale them upon the blade, which leaves them kind of like crushed against you. He wraps kind of one arm against your back and kind of slowly pulls himself slightly off the blade, looks at you, and with a mouth full of broken teeth and blood, just says, "Sister," and then crashes to the ground dead. We can lose that initiative, please. Elida is clambering up to her feet. Morio has made his way to her and is sort of a combination of checking her over and trying to check her over and embrace her at the same time, which probably doesn't work particularly well. A number of the other villagers are kind of emerging out from the sides and kind of like looking on with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Yeah.
What is the condition of the wounded villagers? Are there any kind of still alive?
There
or
are
the
no
Templars
wounded
are-
villagers. There are no wounded villagers. The Templars made very short work of those who resisted, including Alida's mother.
Apart
So
from
my
the ones
next-
we injured.
Yeah, apart from the ones we injured, but they're at the other side of the
Yeah,
town. I
sure.
don't. That's tomorrow's problem.
Sure.
Today's problem. Can I? What state's Alindra in health wise? I imagine you're looking pretty battered.
Yeah, Alindra and Revelia are both looking fairly bashed up.
I think I will go over and offer my assistance to bind some wounds on Alindra then.
Thank you.
I will also join in if I'm needed.
Sure. Well, why don't you each roll for one of them first, and then that makes sense that you're doing that. And while you're doing that, Askarai and Arendar, what are you doing while this healing is going on?
I am going to approach Lida and her father, but I don't want to interrupt them. But I would like to be there when they are ready to talk to me.
Sure. Elida is kind of holding on to her father. She's not kind of in tears, or she's basically in shock, having physical shock as well, having been thrown very hard into a wall and winded. Morio looks over at you. You can see kind of he looks harrowed and definitely kind of bereft. His wife is lying on the ground dead. He says, You saved my daughter. You saved my daughter.
Yes. And Thunderbird has also been dealt with.
Oh, then we are in your debt. He's looking at all your drawn weapons. But I beg you, please, can your questions for my daughter wait till the morning?
Yes. I certainly so. Is there anything further we can do to help tonight?
No, it is not yours to do. Work is ours to do. We must do all the work we can in the name of the Earth Mother, but we'll find a place for you to rest while we take care of our dead.
Thank you.
De Gesto kind of leans in a little bit and says, I have two others coming in from the east. They were wounded, but alive. They will no doubt need a bed as well. Morio kind of nods and says, take them to the chapel. The villagers kind of look a little uncertain, and he says, we will look for another leader tomorrow. For now, please do as I say. The villagers all kind of take a moment and then nod and seem to be wanting to escort you back across the bridge.
Oh, and the east gate is compromised. I suggest perhaps a guard.
We will take care of these things. Please, let us alone.
Of
now.
Course. I'll bow and...
You have done a lot for this village, but none of them look happy to see or interact with you at all.
Nope, that's fair.
De Gesto, as he's walking away, says, friendly types. Suppose I can understand.
They have had a very rough time of it recently. We did not bring good omens with us.
They didn't ask for any of this interest.
And you don't live all the way out here if you enjoy the company of others. I think we should try and patch up the palisade, move some things to form a rudimentary barrier, the gaping hole that is the gate.
I don't know, Aaron. Doesn't sound like they wanted to help. They seem quite... I think we should take the opportunity to see to ourselves and get a bit of rest before dawn breaks.
Yeah, they seemed quite clear on that point.
I'm worried about the girl, not about her safety, about her staying here. If she leaves in the night, everything we've done is wasted.
I don't think she will leave her father.
They might both leave. If I was them, that's what I'd do.
Well, then we'll track them, but I don't think we're going to get much use out of interrogating a young woman in shock.
I agree with not interrogating them now. I don't think they'd talk to us, but I think maybe keeping an eye out.
I don't think we can make them stay, but we could try to watch them if we can do that without offending the people here.
I want to go to bed, but if you want to sneak out once we are settled, Ascarai, and reconnoiter, I'll swap shifts with you tomorrow and let you get caught up on the sleep.
I'll do what I can. But as you say, I won't make an enemy of the people here if they seem unhappy with what I'm doing.
Are we posting standard Davakar guard duty?
Well, before we discuss that, shall we talk about where we're going to? They take you across the bridge and not far from there to the largest building you've seen in New Earthmore, which seems to be, well, he referred to it as a chapel, and it does seem to be that, a church, a temple. You were all escorted up a step of a set of short wooden steps to the interior, which is a large wooden empty room. There are no pews, there are no places to sit or rest. All there is a large, rough carving of what seems to be a very kind of amply proportioned woman at one end of it. The statue kind of reaching up almost all the way to what is kind of a second floor vaulted ceiling. It kind of roughly represents like an average village sun temple, but a great deal less sparse. There are windows, and by windows I mean holes in the wall, kind of around the side of it, which have kind of like some rough thatch over them, but do let some of the light from the outside through. As you kind of step up and into the chamber, one of the villagers behind you closes the door, and you hear a rattle of it being secured somehow.
They've locked us in.
They've locked us in a flimsy wooden building.
Still, a fine reward for defeating enemies without and within their town.
They've locked us in a flimsy wooden building. Yeah, gratitude is not something they're really expressing.
No, but they've locked us inside a flimsy wooden building with an icon of their deity. So I don't. Maybe it's the fatigue talking, but I'm gonna take this as it's given.
Stay here, post watches. Wait and see if they unlock it in the morning.
And if they don't unlock it, we'll bust the doors down and flip and leave. If this woman doesn't care about us, then the whole village can sink back beneath the swamp for all I care. I'm done.
Are we in here with DeGesto and his men as well?
Yeah, DeGesto and the two kind of less wounded fortune hunters. You haven't seen the others come in from outside yet, but I mean, it's possible. DeGesto has expressed that it's possible they might stay outside until they know what's happened.
But if they turn up and the people here keep their word, then there might be two more get let in at some point. But
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we take it just a moment to bring me up to speed on those Templars? Were they Templars?
They were Templars once. I learned about this a while ago, Anton, and I didn't I didn't want to shake your faith. I think all the Templars that have been leaving to go and join this order. They believe that Prios is dead. They believe that Prios was killed by dark forces back during the war in Albarator, and they exist now only for revenge against those they hold responsible.
I see.
That's who they are.
Then I don't think those Templars were ever true believers.
I think they're driven by a fanatical form of belief that has just changed and twisted far beyond what the church teaches.
What would Templars who believe that Prius is dead want with the city of Symbaroum?
Perhaps that's where they think their ultimate enemies come from. Perhaps they want treasure, same as everyone else. I don't know.
Treasure, power. Who knows?
Something to keep in mind.
So we're setting watches, I believe, along with Degesto and his fortune hunters, and trying to find what rest you can. As I said, there is nothing here other than empty wood. So you're going to have to curl up on a hard floor or in a hard corner, I'm afraid, and try and get the rest that you can. Before you do that, we have had a little bit of healing. Alindra got healed for 5 and Aurelia for 3. Is there any other healing that's going on before we go to sleep?
I think everyone else
healing?
looks pretty much. Yeah, I think everyone else looks okay, don't they?
Looks okay, yeah. Because we didn't get too battered, I don't think. Alindra had some heavy, and Askarai had some heavy hits in that first combat, but
yeah, I don't think Alindra or Revelia will be particularly up for a fight first thing tomorrow morning, unless there's not much choice. But...
Sure. So you spend probably a quite fitful night of sleep. You certainly hear Degesto grumbling and cursing and trying to turn his rather large bear-like form over and over on a flat wooden floor without much success. This is definitely more less comfortable than the forest floor of Davakar. So there is that, and throughout all of this, the starlight from outside reflects oddly on the curves and the shape of the earth where they're watching over you. It's up to you how much sleep you've had, but nothing untoward happens during the night. Those 2 other wounded fortune hunters don't come in, but as Degesto said, they might stay out until they know what's happened. If they think they're the only ones left, then they might not want to come into the village. And you are woken by the bar on the door being removed and it being opened. It has to be said, not long after dawn, but it's enough noise that it does rouse all of you.
For healing toughness purposes, did that count as a night's sleep?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Right.
So take 1 toughness. So the door opens and in walk a couple of what passes for warriors in the village, hunters, you suppose. Morio, who seems to have his one leg bandaged up, and he was already a man with a limp when he came out to you in the forest. And with him is a leader who is who is looking at you all with a certain degree of reluctance and fear, and honestly, what seems to be a certain degree of just resentment and dislike for you. She walks in, and her father tries to hold her on the shoulder, and she just pulls her shoulder away a bit, walks forward. She's quite nondescript looking. She has sort of darkish hair and a slender form, and she takes a couple of steps forward and half sits and half collapses onto the ground in a sitting cross-legged position and shrugs and says, "Ask your questions of me."
Have you had many visitors recently?
No. You are the first. The first who arrived and did not want to kill us anyway.
Regret to inform you that there are liable to be more, as there is a gold rush for something that your friend may have uncovered.
This is because of Elmendra, isn't it?
Yes.
I want to make it super clear, for my part at least, I want nothing to do with that cursed city. I want to do my best to protect Elmendra, who is a friend of a friend.
Of course you do. I cannot ask your questions and then leave us. Leave us alone. Leave me alone.
What did you and Elmendra discuss?
We discussed how she should make her way into Carvosti, under the plateau where the witches live, in the tunnels and the caves.
Do you know how to enter the tunnels?
I know one way to enter the tunnels. Well, I know of two, but I only know where one is. One is through the witch's dwelling, and the other they call the Undergate. I don't know where it is, but I know it is deep in the tunnels.
And what did you recommend to Elmendra? To go through the witch's way?
No, the Undergate. I've never seen it. I know roughly where it is. And I gave her advice. Places to go to avoid. She asked me where she might find a way to Symbar. And I had been living with the witches for some months before I left. Escaped.
And you told her to seek the Undergate, or the tunnels under Carvosti, as a way to find Simba?
She already knew about the Undergate. And she knew where it was. Not that she'd tell me, not that I asked. It was how to navigate the tunnels that she wanted to know.
Can you draw us a map of what you know about the tunnels? Where to
Not
find
a map, but the tunnels, they go deep, very deep. The Undergate is far, far down, near some kind of large chamber where something dwells. And then there are other chambers on the way up. There are archives, there are living areas there. I told her there are a number of places to look for these clues she wanted. There is a reliquary. There is a tapestry room, a sculpture hall. And maybe something by the power node, where the witches draw their... I don't know where the thing she wants is, but I could tell her places to look. And if you are looking for the same thing, I would advise you the same. And also, there is someone to ask there. I told Elmendra to seek out the former Huldra, Oriela. She's locked inside a chamber above the Undergate. I am sure she can help as long as she is herself, if only to punish you later. If she isn't herself, leave. She is possessed by something powerful and dangerous. If you want more advice, follow the wider tunnels. avoid the cracks. There are markings at most of the intersections, triangles pointing up, down, left, right. Up and down mean just that. Right means north, left means south. If the air in a tunnel feels unsound or pungent or sickly, turn back. Also, I was warned of the deepest, most northern parts of the cliff, where something lives. Everything beyond the plantations. But I don't know what it is. They took me in. They took me because I can make people calmer. I can take on their pain and their madness. They wanted me to do this for Oriel. And it worked. But I could not stand it anymore and I left. Ran away, escaped. And that is all I know. I mostly lived in the chambers with the witches and went to see the old Huldra.
The witches took you there?
Yes. When they found out what I could do, they took me from the pilgrim camp.
And it was on Carvosti that you spoke to Almendra.
When I escaped, she came to me before I made for home again. Edrafin was looking after me and she knew. And because she helped me before, the witches took me. I thought nothing of telling her, but the matter is done now, I suppose.
You don't know for certain of any other way to these tunnels other than through the witches.
There is the Undergate. It's the gate between the underworld and Carvosti's tunnels. Otherwise, you just go through the witches' entrance, but they won't let you do that. Almendra knew that, but she knew where the Undergate was from the outside.
Do you think that's where she is now?
I don't know. I left Carvosti. I don't know where she is now. I'm assuming she got out or people wouldn't be coming for me.
People are coming for you because they heard rumors that you spoke to her and gave her some information. They think it might lead them to Symbar. As I say, we're just trying to find Almendra.
Well, if it gave her the way to Symbar, it will give others the way to Symbar as well. So why don't you all just go to Symbar and die and leave us alone?
If we'd have done that, you'd all be dead.
If no one had come here, we wouldn't be.
I don't think the Northmen were here because of this. Those people have not been to Carvosti. Anyway, if you want my advice, leave town, get a mask, and change your name. You're not safe here, at least for a while.
Ascarai speaks the truth.
Elida looks sullenly at the floor in front of her and seems to be in no mood to say anything else. Unless directly asks something.
And you may not be aware of all of the treasures the witches held, but were the witches in possession of a hammer?
Of course they are. The witch hammer.
What is it?
They have some kind of legend. Some barbarian hero struck down some monster with it. I don't know. Why?
Ilmindra took it.
Of course she did. Maybe the hammer leads to Symbar. Maybe it doesn't. I don't care. Is there anything else you wish to know?
Were there many? Did the elves visit you or speak to you while you were in the
No,
witch's
of course.
castle?
Why would elves come to the witches' tunnels?
Look,
No.
young lady, we're trying to figure out a lot of different stuff at once. We don't know who's messing around with stuff they shouldn't be. We're just trying to keep as many people as possible safe. But look, no one are not welcome. Steele will kind of stand up in a bit of a huff.
Morio will kind of has watched all this kind of silently and will stand up and say, again, I do extend my thanks for saving the life of my daughter. I truly do. But please leave us. If any others come, we will not tell them you were here.
That's about as good as a prize as we're going to get for saving a whole town.
DeGusto, did you have any further questions?
DeGusto's kind of been stood with his thumbs in his belt, watching this happen, and he kind of looks at Alida a bit and no. That tallies with what I'd heard. I'm satisfied.
It has nothing to do with Almendra, but Moria, how did the Templars get into the town yesterday?
They came from the river, through the fen, just waded through it. And we were looking out to the east, looking at you fighting, or what we could see, the light and the flames.
Okay.
I think they'd been watching us for some days.
We should have scouted the other bank. We should have been more careful.
I have a question. The rumors on Carvosti say that when you left, you were talking about coming back home to seek forgiveness. For what?
What do you think? For betraying the Earth Mother? For working with those witches? For going into an unholy place? For laying my hands on one of them and drawing out their darkness?
Sounds to me like you weren't given a lot of choice in the matter.
The only choice we have is whether to do the Earth Mother's work or not. I should have died.
It will likely mean nothing to you, but I, for one, I'm glad you didn't. I wish you and your people luck rebuilding this place and good fortune.
Morio and the other village warriors step aside for you to leave the chapel.
I will leave.
They very loosely escort you out of the broken east gate, where they've placed up some fencing overnight that they shuffle aside to allow you out. And as you kind of emerge out, kind of blinking in the dawn light with a sort of mist rising off the fen nearby between you and the river, you see DeGusto's two wounded fortune hunters come kind of stumbling out of the trees to rejoin his group. He turns to you all and says, well, I've had happier welcomes and goodbyes. I have a proposition. But it can wait for the journey back west, I suppose. Shall we find those boats of yours and get on our way?
How did you get here?
We walked. Not paddling
Fool.
the river.
I don't think we have space in our boats for the 4 of you.
Well,
I
we'll
guess we
work
can
something
try.
out.
We can talk about that when we've got them, can't we?
We might
Let's
be
get
able
away
to.
from these bloody walls before they change their mind and loose a few arrows at us. Okay, you walk off into the mangrove trees to retrieve your canoes, and I think that is where we will leave the session. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for playing. As usual, sling some comments and questions into the chat if you want us to talk about them. In the meantime, I'll do a little bit of promo. If you check down below, there's a bunch of links to YouTube and to Twitch. You watch this on one, please check out the other. We're live on Twitch, but YouTube is where all of our archived content goes. So there's hours and hours and hours and hours of lots of different games, lots of different systems for you to browse on there. There's also links to our Patreon, our Discord, our social media. If you're interested, check them out. We run 2 weekly campaigns at the moment. Mondays is Vaesen, which is a lovely folk horror Victorian thing. And Wednesdays is Symbaroum. We also run one-shots of various systems on a monthly basis. The most recent one was this Sunday just gone, which was Submarine Call of Cthulhu, one-shot that Sam ran. That'll be arriving on YouTube sometime soon. The one next month, I don't quite know which system it is yet, but I believe it's being run by Pierre. So if you like Pierre's style of stuff, then keep your eyes peeled for that one. John, do you want to start throwing up stuff for us? Oh, actually, before you do that, I think there's a huge backlog of follows and subscribes to do. Did Sam do some of them on Sunday?
I did them on Sunday.
Okay, up to Sunday, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So we had the hype train. Okay, in that case, there's 2 for me to do. So thank you for the follows to one of the best follower names we've ever had, which is Scoot and Fruity. And also to Mr. Wise Guy, who also has a good name. But I have a special place in my heart for Scoot and Fruity.
Scoot and Fruity was thanked on Sunday, but with a name like that, I
fine.
think they deserve it.
We can say that twice. Mr. Wise Guy feels terrible right about now, by the way. So we should all thank Mr. Wise Guy again.
And Moose H. Poos? Moose Poos?
Literally followed us this minute just to get their
there?
name mentioned on stream. Moose H. Poos.
Internet famous.
Moose Poos, also an excellent name. Thank you, all of you. We are also, it should be noted, now on 499 followers. So if you want to get associated with that fabled 500th follower, all I'm saying is go out there, get all your friends to subscribe.
Or just one friend.
Or just one of them. That's fine too.
Preferably
but
all
get
of them.
all of them. Preferably all of them. Come on, John.
What's cooler than getting the 500th subscriber is the 527th.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make it happen.
42. Did they get loot off the warband leader?
Oh,
that's a good point.
Damn.
This group as a whole is very, very bad at looting their enemies after they've killed them. But hey, his body is presumably still there, right? Unless the surviving
point of order,
removed it.
His weapon was massive and gargantuan.
It was,
Can a normal human wield that?
You can, but it does come with some malices from the size of it. I think it's called unwieldy or something. You could go back and see if the body's still there. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's not too far anyway. Next. Did you know that there is a guy on the Facebook Symbaroum GM Society group? I can already say no. Who is making some very good maps based on our Wrath of the Warden series.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Cool.
Based on our... What? I'm so confused. Our Wrath... what did we do in Wrath of the Warden that would produce a map different from the ones that are just in the book?
Is it ours or is it the...
Is it ours or just Wrath of the... Just to double check, I do not dispute you, but you are aware it's a pre-written campaign? I'm not... If that doesn't sound patronizing, I don't know. I don't know what we did that would provoke maps.
I want to see them, though.
We went in this direction.
It would be extremely cool if there were maps based on what we had done.
what would we do that would provide maps that aren't
Did we
maps
just
in the book?
did we just consistently confuse east and west? And so all of
I
our
am
maps are
literally googling this right now, my friends.
Yeah, you Google it,
out.
Chris. Let's go to some of the questions, and Chris can provide the answers for us. He plays the campaign, but listened to your series. Oh, listened to our series and was inspired by it. Okay, that's cool.
That's very
Very
cool.
cool.
That's cool.
We'll
That's
have to
exciting.
look out for that.
Oh, God.
Weave and roll, Steo, all hail Steo. Was this when Steo was fucking carving through those Templars?
No, that was
approve
right
this
from the
message.
beginning. That was just his introduction.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I mean that is fair enough.
Like,
Why do
I think
you like
Weave and Roll
him?
went quiet throughout packing,
everyone
so
likes-
presumably just couldn't deal with it.
Everyone likes Steo way more than Chris does, just so everyone knows.
Who's your favorite character in the series, Chris?
Not Antom.
Oh,
Play it.
bloody hell.
Damn.
You've just booked yourself a canoe sharing opportunity with Anton for 2 weeks.
Nice. Next. 42. Matt's number one tip for GMs is always make the players feel bad for winning a combat. You're not wrong. That is what I. Here's the thing: like in a lot of games, you don't want to do that particularly. But I think in a game like Symbaroum, where it's threaded through with these moral choices, something like taking someone's life should never be, or shouldn't always be something that's just done lightly. I genuinely think that in role-playing games, if you're doing like a serious role-playing game with a sense of heft and gravitas and morality to it, it shouldn't be just a casual thing to take someone's life. There's like, oh my god, what game is it? Oh, it's in Forbidden Lands, and in a lot of Year Zero stuff, where if you intentionally kill someone once you've rendered them helpless via combat, like if you strike a killing blow on someone who isn't necessarily in a position to fight back, because people get downed in Year Zero, and then you have to like finish them off. There are a lot of things of like you take stress for that, or you kind of have to do an empathy roll, things like this. And I really like things like that because it humanizes it, right? It's and if maybe your character doesn't react to that, and maybe they are just callous and they don't give a shit, but that in itself is a reaction to provoke. So yeah, completely agreed. Yes, it is. Maybe not number one, but it's a good. It's high up there. Don't kick food. Elindra is a hacker. Does she travel by rollerblade? I see. I get it. I said you hack. Sure. Do hackers? Oh, as in the film.
As in hackers.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
she hacks people because computers haven't been invented yet. Except, I mean, maybe they were back in Symbar.
As a professional computer person, I frequently use a double-handed broadsword to conduct my craft.
Standard practice.
A lot. Let's face it. A lot of IT people actually own double-handed broadswords, so I don't think we need to.
Does that overlap with the IT people who own fursuits, or are they a different part of the Venn diagram?
I'd say they're probably a different part of the Venn. I think I don't know. Are fursuits and LARPers like where do they fall on the? Let's not get into this before we offend half our audience. So. And players, maybe. I don't know.
All of them.
I'm saying nothing.
Mike, this lad has been thoroughly kebabbed.
I apologize
That was
for
weird.
once again ending a boss fight before we actually figured out what any of the boss's actual skills
Oh, he
were.
wasn't a boss. He wasn't he was a mini boss at best. He
I
was
do
only a
en-
little bit more powerful than the Templars.
I do enjoy how we just ruin these Templar brothers' lives without any like real, we have no real quarrel with them, but we've just like absolutely ruined all of their lives forever. I mean, we've killed most of them.
I do hope that there is a future campaign where like the main plot line is just their mum coming for just terrible vengeance.
Yeah.
And she isn't even like a warrior or anything. She's just a little old woman.
She's just a mum, which is like about as scary as things get, really.
That would be absolutely heart-wrenching.
I
would
refer
die.
to you. I referred you to the rule that 42 said. You know, it's going to be heartbreaking.
I don't believe Templars have mums, right? Templars only come from having been abandoned on the church doorstep, like
They're
as a
hatched
baby.
out of
Yeah.
a special egg.
Yeah.
With a note saying,
template.
please raise this son to be or daughter to be a religious fanatic. That's
I mean,
Yeah.
that's literally what happened with Alindra, but I think she's the
Exactly.
exception.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's like the old trope. No single role-playing character has a full suite of living parents.
Yep.
Yeah.
We also have appropriately. We have.
I don't have any
name of-
masteries, so
Surely you're a mastery of GMing.
I don't know. I'll leave that to other people to determine. 2 masteries and a cat. This is his. Like, I'm not trying to be adorable. This is his favorite sitting position at the moment. So,
God bless him.
gonna have to deal with it.
Ridiculous.
If it's any consolation, my shoulder's in intense pain as his claws gladly sink in.
Lapping as Ferren. Really.
Yeah. Steve, I'm hoping there's a party score sheet somewhere for lives improved versus lives ruined. How many lives improved?
I think we
saved
can
an
put the
entire
whole
town, to be
village.
fair.
Yeah, we'll put the village. We'll put all of this a hold and all of wherever this is, Earthmore, New Earthmore. Come on,
Yeah.
there's gotta be more.
I think, to be fair to their reactions from it, I think for them, you did arrive and you're like, okay, well, we wanted the exact same things the others did, and I guess we didn't care, but we are the good. Trust us, we're the good guys. So.
Well, we did at least 60% fewer war crimes.
We killed 2 separate sets of baddies for them. But
to them, you all wanted the same thing. So from their perspective, it was just like you just killed the other people who wanted what you wanted. You know,
The people who were killing them.
sure, I agree with you, but from their perspective, and they're just and they're isolationists. And as far as they're concerned, you're all Ambrians who want to come and probably burn them. So
It's now at the point where, like, if someone was just like, if another warband shows up to burn this town down, Askray is just going to walk out of here with no moral qualms whatsoever.
Sure.
Yeah. What we've learned is that the people of New Earthmore are dicks.
Yeah. Sure. Cat is choosing which RPG system on the bookcase to play next. I don't have any cat-themed ones, I don't think, to make a joke about, but
you don't have the...
I guess he could be a Bastet in Werewolf.
Yeah. Can't think of any others.
Good. Yeah, it was a good joke. 42 says, who blew up the front gate to Gesto? Gesto blew up the front gate with a little alchemical pouch of splody powder.
That might have made us look a bit like the bad guys.
But they wouldn't let us in to help them.
They were busy.
Good.
Oh my god.
The moral grayness here is just...
I reckon...
I don't get the pun. Someone explain the pun.
No, this is a system that I posted in the Discord chat earlier, which people should sign up to, which is a role-playing game that you play with your cat.
What?
It involves a player, a cat, a suitcase, and is like a 2-creature RPG thing where you role-play your cat going on holiday.
Does it involve putting the cat in the suitcase?
No, I think it maybe involves leaving the suitcase open for the cat to get in the suitcase themselves.
Right, I see.
You see, part of me thinks that sounds like the most ridiculous thing. The other part of me thinks that if we ran that, it would be the most popular stream that we've ever
quite
done.
quite possibly. Yeah, you might not be wrong there.
It is designed to be played from like a week to a month in length, kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, really long streams are popular. If we do like the stream where people get to watch us sleep, and in between we try and put a cat in a suitcase, which is my understanding of the system.
This is accurate.
Yeah.
I think
We've got anything else?
We've
probably
got Steve also suggesting that we should start handing out business cards with "We're sorry" written on them.
We're sorry we wrecked half your town and have dubious motivations from your perspective.
Yeah.
Except like half your town is just blank and someone's written it in because we have to leave it blank for all the stuff we get around to destroying.
Please send any receipts for replacement furniture, people, or houses to
Lassifor Night Pitch
to Mother Mahira, pair of cool. All right, well, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll be back next week with more Symbaroum next Wednesday. Until then, take care, stay safe, provide a good chair for cats, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.